¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, Michael Hassler, Derry Bennett. Question mark? Yeah, no. That's pretty unacceptable. Do not make comments like that, or we're just not gonna have that. First of all, like, RFK is a pretty clown candidate and a deeply unserious candidate. So there's that. A-Bond, how's it going? Welcome, folks. We definitely have quite a few things to talk about. I think I got everything. Also, I finally, I finally decided to open a, I finally got a, Blue Sky invite, account, and I finally was able to go through that process. So I do have a Blue Sky account. If you guys, are using Blue Sky, you can just find me. It's the same at A Difficult Truth. I literally just opened it, not too long ago. I tried, but I didn't get a code. How do you get codes? Alio with the 11 biddies, thank you so much. And I also saw the tier 1 subscription. Thank you. Great question. Yeah, I don't know how you personally get invite codes. Maybe if you're like, maybe the more you use the app, you get like you know, some invite codes to give around. But I managed to get my hands on one. But if you do happen to have a Blue Sky account, I'm the same at A Difficult Truth. All the same. I just haven't put anything really. I haven't put my profile picture, anything like that. But yeah, I need an invite. Well, if I figure out how that works, then yeah, I'll let you guys know. Twitter, Tribal. I've never seen Tribal. Blue Sky. So many Twitter blogs. That's true. But hey, the less time I have to spend on Twitter, the better it is. I would take any opportunity to leave Twitter, to be honest. Alright, folks, we have a few things to go through, so let's get this show started. Stop eating breakfast. It's making you poor. True. We'll get to that. How's it going, Heat? I'm eating. I'm so mad. Just listen. Just stop eating, okay? And you'll be less poor. Okay? Stop eating and you'll be a billionaire. Kevin McCarthy refuses the stopgap bill, near guaranteeing a shutdown. Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, it's more likely than not at this point. There's what, 2 days left? 3 days left? That's it. So it's almost it's almost likely that we are heading into a government shutdown, and it is, yes, the Republicans' fault. So yeah, I mean, it is. I always eat my breakfast. Amazing. I'm hanging in there. All right, so let's get this started. We've got a few things to go through. On Tuesday, reported the impact of a shutdown, the most disturbing of which is our military must continue to protect us. Well, I don't know if that's the most disturbing. How about like all the important literally ear for breakfast. Not even like that's not even like the most disturbing part is not having enough money for the military or like to give out tens of billions to Ukraine. That's not even the most disturbing part. It's like the actual like programs that actually help people here. Those are those are also under threat. Not to mention, as Sharpie Diesel just pointed out, how many people are going to be screwed over because of being furloughed or not having their paycheck. You know? How's it going, Sharpie Diesel? Like, that's the disturbing part. And, like, these people don't care. Like, Republicans don't care if, like, however many people go home and have to tell, like, their families, like, I'm being furloughed, and until these people figure it out, we're not getting paid. That's a far more disturbing aspect of it. The money wasn't going to Ukraine, it was going to the weapons companies. Yeah, well, yeah, de facto, like a lot of money that gets swirled around in there always ends up in the hands of these private companies. Border Patrol should just walk off on Saturday. Yeah, I mean, if they're not going to get paid, TSA's not getting paid. Yeah, like all of these, there's so many, like tens of millions of people are going to probably be affected by this. Like literally tens of millions of people. Like I think that's pretty disturbing. These people are willing to play with the lives of millions of people. Who have to go home and say like, well, yeah, until these people in Congress get their shit together, I won't have money to put food on the table. Point being is that at the end of the day, most likely we are heading towards a government shutdown, and it's going to be the Republicans' fault. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
The hearing on...
And like a lot of people are, well, I don't know. There's a noticeable amount of people saying that like this is a good thing. It's not. Okay? But Congress will be paid. Oh, yeah. You think they're giving up their paychecks? Nah. The math doesn't math. The math ain't mathin'. But Congress will be paid. Yeah, can we take it out of the military then? Well, I mean, we really should be reducing the amount of money we spend on the military. And like every time we go into a shutdown, Congress shouldn't be paid either. I mean, it's honestly like at this point, at this scale, like if Congress doesn't get paid for, you know, a week or whatever, like it really doesn't matter to them because they're all fucking rich. So like they're all making about what, 6 figures, like minimum. Like let's take aside like their net worth outside that. But by like bare minimum, they're already making like what 6 figures. So like honestly, even if they didn't take money or even if they didn't get paid, like they'll be fine. So they can afford to not get paid for a week or two or even a month or, you know, a couple months. Okay. But yeah, it doesn't matter. At the end, it doesn't matter. They should still not be paid while the government is shut down.
On childcare policies. This was a hearing on childcare policies since COVID. Senator John Kennedy, Republican, asks here a panel of experts on this front how to pay for expanded childcare for parents. Now, people will remember that during COVID, the child tax credit was expanded, and that meant that monthly payments went out to parents to help alleviate, and the payments were increased, as opposed to it being a tax credit at the end of the year. We expanded it and we alleviated child poverty by something like 40% during that time period. And now that Joe Manchin, in his efforts, and the entire Republican Party along with him, have eliminated the child tax credit, child poverty has gone up significantly. So these are the kinds of things that government could easily solve but choose not to. And Kennedy is not in favor of those kinds of government programs.
And just to be clear, like, it's not just Kennedy. The entire Republican Party is against these type of social safety nets that would actually help parents and that would actually help children. They're just against that completely. It's not just Kennedy. He's not like an outlier. This is a pretty like standard Republican position, right? I bet deals would happen real quick. Yep. And yet student loan payments resume on the 1st. Yep, on the dot. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Rain, shine. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be nice.
But this is him talking to or questioning economist Catherine Ann Edwards, who makes a very reasonable and obvious point that Republicans and conservatives are not ever going to
I want to say this point is so on the nose that I wish I'd thought of it myself. Like it's, I mean, it's some, she summarizes things we all know, but in a very concise framing.
Right now, I think it's paid for to try to cap the cost of insulin for everybody, including the uninsured, at $35. But, you know, you reach the point where you say, we can't do everything. So the fair question is, where's the money going to come from, Doc?
Well, I mean, I hate this. Every time, like, these fucking ghouls decide that, like, they're gonna do something good, like, that would actually help people, the first question is always, where is the money gonna come from? But when it comes to, like, I don't know, shelling out, like, hundreds of billions of dollars for the military, that question is never asked. When it comes to, like, asking, like, oh, we're gonna give, like, all these tax breaks and cut taxes for the very wealthy and all these, like, mega corporations, none of these ghouls ever ask, well, where's the money gonna come from to cover that gap? Never. It's a question that never gets asked in those circumstances. But when it comes to, like, oh, well, we want to continue what seems to be a very good program that's yielding results. I mean, it's cutting child poverty by a significant amount. It's helping people. Those all of a sudden, the pearls get so clutched. All of a sudden, the fiscally responsible conservatives pop out of the woodwork, right? That's when you have to ask the real questions, like, where's the money gonna come from for this? Get out of here.
The majority of federal revenue comes from taxes, so if you need more money, you'll have to raise taxes. I'll remind you, sir, that we have had 2 massive trillion-dollar tax cuts in the past 20 years, and they have done nothing to make childcare more affordable. They have...
Shit. Fucking obliterated, dude. Obliterated. Yeah, they come from taxes. That's where the revenue of the government comes from, right? Like, just to make it as simplistic as possible, right? And like the concept of how we understand how this works. The government gets funded by taxes. If you if you cut taxes to the tune of trillions of dollars for the wealthiest people and corporations, and then you simultaneously like start fucking pearl clutching about like, well, where's the money gonna come from to help, like, I don't know, childcare programs? Yeah, just go F yourself, honestly. All of these people. And like, this is a standard position for Republicans, by the way. This is like a standard conservative position. This is not just Kennedy.
Done nothing to help the casualty and property insurance that you were talking about today. They have not been invested in children, and we have not seen that return. I mean, the 2001 tax cuts have now had 22 years to prove that they could solve the social issues that you...
Well, they did have a return. A return maybe on the corporations that lobbied for these type of goodies. So, yeah, they absolutely did have a return on investment. Just not a return on investment for, you know, us.
You and your fellow senators say that are a priority, and I don't think we could point to evidence to say that they have worked. I would love for you to give child care 20 years. I would love for you to say, let's take 2 decades of runway, invest it in young children, and see what kind of return that I could get. But we've never given children or the child care sector as much runway as we've given taxes. And I'll remind you that the estate tax exemption right now is $13 million.
Jesus Christ. That was a epic fucking mic drop right there. Epic mic drop. And like, you know, that aside, like, she's correct. She's correct. Conscious connect, but money belongs to billionaires. Millionaires get the trickle down and the rest of you can go F yourself. True, that's how this works here. Gotcha. Makes sense. GOP MAGA has metal plastic gun pins on the lapels instead of helping voters. Really nasty for Congress. Well, I mean, they're not interested in helping. The Republicans are not interested in helping. I mean, these people are talking about how they would, in their eyes, they would like to shut down the working class. They don't want the working class to unionize. They don't want the people to organize. They want to cut programs that would help the working class the most. So, yeah, they just literally hate poor people. They just literally hate anybody who is not them. Okay? They only understand one thing and one thing only, and that's power. That's it. That's all they're interested in. Like, these people can try to perform, you know, Olympic levels of mental gymnastics to try to portray themselves as people who give a shit. But honestly, they don't. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about even their own constituents. They don't care about the country. The only thing that they understand is power. That's it.
Well, let me say thank you for the honest answer. Raise taxes.
Yes. Yes, that's how the government is funded, sir. Like, you see, like, and here we have, like, Matt Walsh advocating for people to have, like, a test to be able to vote or make an arbitrary, like, you know, civics test or whatever. To say like, oh, you know, if you don't understand how the government works, then you shouldn't be voting. I mean, like, yes, dude, this is how the government works. If there's no taxes, bringing in the money, then yeah, dude, we're gonna have a funding problem. You are the problem, my dude. Billionaires are the real welfare queens. Institute a dress code where congresspeople must wear jumpsuits with donor patches on them like NASCAR drivers so we can see the corruption up front and center since no one seems to care anymore. True. Phenomenal point. Billionaires are the real welfare queens. Exactly. I despise that old man. I mean, yeah, you should. But also, like, yeah, saying things like what you said earlier about RFK is not appropriate. So I don't know if you heard me earlier, but that's a warning. Vivek was also pushing for that, as well as wanting to raise the voting age for 25. Yep.
Does he say more? Play it. I want to hear more. I literally want to see him attempt to get out of this.
In another venue, perhaps, or another time, we can we can debate what that tax reform did for the economy.
No, there's no debate about it. She literally told you what happened. We have nothing to show for it when it comes to like bringing revenue to help fund programs. It did the opposite. Wait, there's no debate to be had here. You're just wrong.
But I've got another subcommittee hearing, so I'm going to turn it back over.
I mean, that's incredible. He could only get out of it by doing the folksy thing.
What's like the Looney Tunes running away sound effect?
Yeah.
Of like Wile E. Coyote trying to get going.
Yeah, exactly.
He literally turned tail. Like he was like, "Nope, I'm not even gonna get into this."
I mean, I'm picturing the figurative cloud of dust behind Kennedy there. That is completely. That's kind of the point that I was
She's
trying to make
spitting.
earlier. Yeah. It's 100% true. I think she also misspoke there. It was billion, not
I
million.
wasn't
at the
sure. I
end.
think she was right, and the person that corrected her was wrong. I think
Oh.
it is million.
Okay.
So which is still like I could lower that exemption even lower. Or I don't know how that exemption works actually, but anyway.
Yeah, is this the clown Comer about the Biden crime family? No, this was Robert Kennedy about funding like the child tax credit or something, the child tax like benefits that were given during Corona, during the coronavirus pandemic. I think it was part of the Inflation Reduction Act, and basically he asked that lady, how are we going to pay for it? And that was her response. Yeah, there's no both sizing there. Like he's just wrong. He's literally just wrong. That's it. Mayor McCheese, but you have to look at both sides if you're talking about Republicans. Don't you remember Obama ordered a burger with mustard? True. He once did order a burger with mustard, and also he wore a tan suit. And the latest scandal plaguing the Democratic Party is apparently gym shorts and hoodies. Yeah, truly scandals. Truly scandals that are shaking the nation at its core. Apparently. Yeah, it was really the tan suit, I think, takes it, in terms of like, scandals. Clearly the tan suit, and now we have the tan suit 2.0, which apparently is, a hoodie and gym shorts in the Senate, apparently. Yeah, just unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior here. Really the scandal that's shaking the halls of Congress right now. If he's willing to wear a tan suit, he's willing to do anything. Oh my god. That was an actual quote, wasn't it? Who said that? Because like the sad part is that actually it is okay. Who said that? Is it Tucker? Is it Tucker Carlson? I would like to see him wear a shiny purple suit, but that's me. No, the other Fox Chud. Let me find the clip for you. All right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Alio, if and when the government shuts down, it's going to be the Republicans' fault. Period. End of story. There's no real like wiggle room here. It's going to end up being the Republicans' fault. Oh shoot! Send it to me by whispers. The Mayor McCheese. Just send it to me by whispers. I'll send you an ice cold Coke Zero. I mean, that's cool too, by the way. I appreciate that.
The president came out addressing reporters on Thursday, and he was wearing this tan suit.
President Obama's decision to wear a light tan suit at yesterday's news conference. He was wearing a tan suit.
Light tan suit. I think it was shocking to a lot of people. Is this an effort to make him look warmer?
No way I think any of us can excuse what the president did yesterday. I mean, and then for him to walk out, I'm not trying to be trivial here, but in a light suit, light tan suit.
Also known as Tangate.
Tan suit, and how the tan suit made him look unpresidential.
Whoever talked him into going into a tan suit, they're so desperate because of these low poll numbers, they're willing to do anything.
The tan suit made him look unpresidential.
Oh my god, I love how they play the... Is that Reagan? Damn. Wow. Okay. Wow. Really? Ah. Loser New York judge finds Trump liable. Oh, loser. In New York judge finds Trump liable for fraud and cancels his business certificates. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Democrats wouldn't stop, continues calling us out for not doing our job. So we got depressed and couldn't pass any budget legislation. So that's why, all in all, the Democrats shut the government down. Tance, I need to make a command that will link to that video. Okay, I need to make a command that will link to that video. That's hilarious. Hold on, folks. Give me a second. Chat commands. Custom command. Okay. See if I got it right. Okay. There you go.
Anyway, yeah, great framing, and I mean, very so I think smart to say what's the social good we've got out of those tax cuts now?
Yeah,
like we've been letting you fat cats eat for 20 years now, and all we have is this society to answer for it. This kind of poverty, this sort of want, and this kind of gilded decadence at the top. Like, that's it.
And it's also just so indicative of a lot of what we say about the danger of Republicans getting in power, because it's so easy to tear down. It's so easy to tear down the tax code in favor of the wealthy because every economic, big fat cat, to use your word there, every capitalist, every billionaire is going to be in favor of that. And you're going to get enough Democrats, unfortunately, based on the modern construction of the Democratic Party, to at least be sympathetic to some of those claims. And the Republicans were very successful in tearing down the tax code in favor of the wealthy, and they did it multiple times. They did it with the Bush tax cuts, and they did it with the Trump tax cuts too. And we still have not had a robust counteraction to create a more equitable tax code and fund programs like universal child care.
Yeah, they're not really interested in that, to be honest. Obama's trying to culturally appropriate the tan suit from our previous Lord and Savior, Ronald Reagan. True. Gata Naranja Red, Trump doesn't like masks. They mess up his bronzer, probably. No clue, to be honest. All we have is billionaire fat cat shit spread all over society. They never learned to use the litter box. Yep.
Because the amount of opposition to that kind of thing, it's always going to be enormous. And so maintaining is so much better than allowing these wreckers to get in power, because then the status quo becomes what they've implemented.
Yeah. IRS bumps up estate tax exclusion to $12.92 million for 2023, which means that individuals can transfer up to almost $13 million to their heirs during life or death without triggering a federal estate tax bill. So none of that's taxed, just a free $13 million. There you go, kids. Go give it to the Daily Wire or something.
True. Well, I mean, this is what happens when Republicans get a hold of power. Senator Bernard Sanders.
Thanks all for joining me. Today, in my view, is an historic day. For the first time in American history, we have seen a president of the United States of America stand on a picket line and make it clear that he is supporting the working class of our country. And that is a very big deal. A week ago Friday, as some of you may know, I was also in Detroit with the United Automobile Workers. And I will tell you why I was there. I was there to stand up to the extraordinary level of corporate greed that we are seeing in the automobile industry today. Really quite incredible. In the first half of 2023, the big three automakers made a combined $21 billion in profits, up 80% from the same time period last year. Over the entire decade, the past decade, these same companies made some $250 billion in profits in North America alone. Last year, the big three automobile companies spent $9 billion, not to improve the lives of their workers, not to make their factories
stock
safer,
buybacks, I bet,
but on stock buybacks and dividends to make their wealthy executives and stockholders even richer. Further, while many of the workers in the automobile industry are struggling to survive financially, last year the CEO of General Motors made $29 million in total compensation. $29 million. The CEO of Ford made $21 million, and the CEO of Stellantis received over $25 million in total compensation. So what you're seeing is the people who run these companies doing phenomenally well while their workers are falling further and further behind. There was once a time when a union job in the automobile industry was the gold standard for the working class of this country. They did better than any other manufacturing worker in America. But unfortunately, those days are long gone.
And honestly, also just kind of as a like side note, every time like there's a massive like win for unions that are big enough, it starts to have ripple effects across the whole working class. So these type of fights are important. Money that should have been used to support the workers and retool for EVs. Yep, their profit margins are complete vapor. They're on borrowed time, and time is running out. Workers should have share ownership to be included in the success. Ideally, we would live in a scenario where workers own the means of production, right? Workers who are producing the value would be reaping the benefit, or would be reaping the profits or whatever of their value, of their labor.
The average starting wage at the Big Three today is around $17 an hour. And that's less than a number of non-union auto plants around the country. And no matter how long you have worked at the automobile industry, and some of these workers have been there 30, 40 years, the top wage is all of $32 an hour. And unbelievable, maybe most importantly, to understand what's going on in the automobile industry today, over the last 20 years, the average wage for American auto workers has decreased by 30% after adjusting for inflation. Once again, over the last 20 years, the average wage for an automobile worker has gone down by 30% in inflation adjusted for dollars. The reality is that auto workers at the Big Three are earning less today than they did 15 years ago. So that's why these guys are angry. That's why these men and women are standing up and...
Right, and it also happens that the CEO pay is increased by, 30 to 40%? Interesting. Yes, cars are cheaper to assemble in Vietnam. It's an economic fact. I mean, like, in my opinion, that's just how it should be, because I think it's proper that workers who are producing the value of the company because of their labor, they should be the ones who are receiving the benefits, right? They're the ones who are there. They're the ones who are making the products. Their labor is what makes the company work. But without them, there is no company. A CEO is also a worker. Are they though? And how much of these managerial positions do we actually need? And how much, like, if a CEO didn't exist, could the company still function and run? Yeah, it can. If tomorrow the CEO position was disappeared, could the company still function and run? Yeah. The CEO is not a worker like somebody that does the work. Yeah.
Fighting for economic justice. And what the UAW is fighting for is not radical. Is that it is the totally reasonable demand that auto workers who have made enormous financial sacrifices over the last 40 years finally receive a fair share of the record-breaking profits that their labor has produced. And let me just say this, if I might. What the UAW is fighting for is not just for automobile workers. Really, they are fighting for every American in this country. What they are saying is that we have got to end the unprecedented level of corporate greed that we see every single day, where the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while working class people and middle class people are struggling. So today in America, where we have more income and wealth inequality that we have ever had, where we have more concentration of ownership than we have ever had.
True. Company would run for a few weeks, but CEO has to be there to lead the long term. I guarantee you, a CEO is not needed. Okay, I guarantee you, if you had a setup where workers owned, where we're all co-owners, the managerial system would be completely different, and I guarantee you, you wouldn't need, you technically would not need a CEO. Yeah, a CEO, if you didn't have that position, you'd be fine.
60% of our workers are living paycheck to paycheck. We have 500,000 people literally sleeping out on the street. We've got 85 million people who are either uninsured or underinsured. We have 45 million people are struggling with student debt. So what we got today, and what we have had for many years now, is an economy that is doing just great for the people on top, not doing well at all for the working class or the middle class of this country. And that's what the UAW is standing up and fighting for. They want an economy, they want an industry that works for everybody. They want an economy that works for all of us. So I just want to applaud the UAW for what they are doing, and to make it clear that, in my view, they are fighting for every working class American. Thank you all very much.
Based. And how much of a payback do we find to be morally repugnant? Yeah, I mean, does a CEO, like, even if we say, like, okay, a CEO is a worker, are they like $29 million worth? No. No. If you remove, let's say, Tim Cook from his Apple CEO role and don't replace him quickly with someone smart, Apple company will suffer over the next year. Not really. They'll still be making iPhones. Do you think that Apple, like, stops making iPhones because, like, Tim Cook wasn't there? What about Steve Jobs? There will be no innovation. CEOs don't make innovation. CEOs don't really drive innovation. They will keep making what they make. Oh, so they'll keep making profits. Gotcha. Cool. So the company will still run like it did. Gotcha. Cool. Yep. Thank you for making my point. CEOs decide the budget for the future development? No, that's not true? Question mark? That's not always the case. Unless, like, you're the single person who's making all the decisions. That's not true. If you are mining ore, you can do what you used to do. Huh? You can't stay in place in tech. Sorry, you have to advance. CEOs don't drive innovation. CEOs don't drive innovation. Much like, this is like saying, like, oh, you know, Elon Musk is the one that's driving SpaceX and Tesla or whatever. No. No. Who decides Apple should produce their own CPU? I feel CEOs have a role. Maybe if you want to make up a job. Who decides Apple? They have a whole team who's responsible for this. They literally have a completely separate team who's responsible for making, like, product decision making. It's not Tim Cook. He's not the end all be all. He's not even the driver of this. He's not in this. He's not even, like, making most of these decisions. He's on the board. But in terms of like how Apple drives product making decisions, it's not Tim Cook. They literally have a team dedicated to this. Like you're asking questions that you yourself don't even fully understand. Like you're talking about like Apple, Tim Cook being like the brain of Apple. He's not. Okay. Anyways. It's just incorrect. It's just completely incorrect. All right, so here we have Andy Ngo posting what happened in Philadelphia. The problem is he's trying to pin this on BLM quote unquote rioters that happened after a protest. After a protest that happened because they didn't charge a police officer. But here's the problem. The police themselves have said this has nothing to do with the actual protests. And the police themselves have come out and said that a lot of these people didn't even come from like the protests and were from surrounding areas. In fact, I believe one of their comments was that they feel like these people were opportunist. And Andy Ngo, who has been known for being completely fucking dishonest and a little fucking weasel when it comes to reporting, is painting this as if this was strictly something that's made from BLM, that came from BLM. So here he posts, BLM activists on social media happily discussed looting in reaction to a judge dismissing criminal charges against a police officer who shot a knife-wielding Latino man named Eddie Irizarry. Soros-linked Philadelphia. So, yeah. Soros-linked Philadelphia DA refiled charges the same day. So nice little anti-Semitism. Just anytime you hear Soros-linked whatever, it's just a euphemism for anti-Semitism. Yeah, he's basically trying to pin this on like BLM when even like the cops themselves have come out and said like this has nothing to do with the protest. This has nothing to do with the protest. In fact, some of these people came from like surrounding areas, and they're still trying to put all the pieces together. But yeah, the police themselves have come out and said this has nothing to do with the protest. And here he is trying to continue to assert that when it's not really true. Like, honestly, what a disgusting piece of shit. Like, nothing fucking, like, triggers me more than being purposely deceiving. And this guy has made an entire career out of doing this shit. An entire career out of doing this shit. Which, of course, Matt Walsh then decides that he is going to signal boost by saying that you should start handing out 20-year prison sentence to looters. Of course, he would never say the same thing about the January 6th insurrectionists. How is he bad for showing this? Did you wait? Let me stop you right there. Did you listen to what I said? Did you listen to what I said before? I didn't see the top. Well, no, the point is that he's lying. It's misrepresenting. BLM had nothing to do with this. He's saying that this is BLM rioters. That's not true. The cops themselves said that these people had nothing to do with the protest. Matt Walsh would not say this about the January 6th insurrectionists. No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. And like, here's the article. The board is one of the largest purchasers of blah 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 blah. The looting happened after peaceful protests ended following a judge's decision to dismiss all charges against a former police officer in the fatal shooting of 27-year-old Eddie Irizarry on August 14th. The city's interim police commissioner himself said he believes that the looters were opportunists, were not directly connected to the protest. This is the actual police commissioner saying that this has nothing to do with the protest. And we have Andy Ngo fucking posting this shit and linking it to BLM. Which I don't even know if it was a BLM protest. But the point being is that he's trying to connect that these riots or looting happened and these were BLM rioters. They were not. The police themselves clearly said that this has nothing to do with the protests. That's the problem. Is that he's being dishonest. He's made an entire career of doing shit like this. And here he is doing it again. Or the 1985 police bombing in Philly in the name of justice. Yeah. They literally dropped C4 on a freaking neighborhood. Anyways, truly freaking disgusting. Like, nobody can really take this guy serious. Nobody should take this guy seriously. And nobody should think like that he is anything but an outrage machine. He's just a cog in the outrage machine, and he uses this to profit. That's it. That's it. He's not a journalist. And he's not doing this because he wants accurate reporting or anything like that, or he's just showing this. No, he's doing it on purpose. He's doing it on purpose. And then to top it off, he's going off about the quote Soros-linked Philadelphia DA. Yeah. Yeah, no, this dude, I mean, like, dude's been hanging out with fucking Proud Boys who are like far-right domestic terrorists for years now, so it's not surprising. Off topic, a majority of Republican voters view former President Trump as a person of faith. Yeah, I mean, delusional. Reality doesn't exist to these people. Reality is but a hurdle. More than just about every other 2024 primary foe, according to a new poll that Desert News Harris X poll found that 53% of registered Republican voters say they found Trump to be a man of faith. Roughly the same percentage of voters view from Vice President Mike Pence and Florida Governor DeSantis. The same way through the poll has a 5.5 percentage point margin. Absolutely freaking delusional. Anyways, this just came up on my feed, so yeah. Fuck Andy No for posting this shit. And framing it this way in such a dishonest way. And fuck Matt Walsh for fucking signal boosting it. They know what they're fucking doing. Andy knows what they're doing. If it took me this is supposed to be a fucking journalist. If it took me 5 seconds to literally go and find the news article with the direct quote from the actual police commissioner, then Andy No, the journalist, should be able to identify what the context is here and report accurately like the news did. It's clear as day. If Andy No decided wanted to be accurate and took 5 seconds to actually investigate what happened, like a journalist would, say what you will about mainstream media and they have their issues and whatnot, but this is unacceptable and quite frankly disgusting. Fuck this guy. The truth is whatever gets published and distributed first for these people. 100%. They see this and they immediately think that this was a BLM riot. Immediately. And it's not surprising that clowns like this are also freaking posting this shit. They act surprised when ordinary people break social constructs, yet the elites do it every day. Yep. Personally, it's the freaking lying. It's the deception. I don't like. I that really grinds my gears. To be purposely framing something in a completely dishonest way when anybody who could take 5 seconds would just look up what happened and would realize oh yeah, even the freaking cops are saying that this had nothing to do with the protests, and then try to pin it on the protesters. He even goes on to say it appears that these looters came from different parts of the city. If that triggers you, your blood pressure must be 280, 170, 24/7. No. Listen, just because like I get, just because I don't like dishonest fucks like this guy, my blood pressure is fine. Listen, my current heart rate right now is 76 BPM. Okay? My current heart rate right now is 76 BPM, and it's been pretty consistent throughout the day. Okay, so it's been pretty consistent throughout the day. Or you have a good supplier. Just because I don't like dishonest fucks doesn't mean my actual like heart rate or blood pressure is gonna get affected. I'll be fine. Speaking of something that should raise your heart rate and blood pressure, let's shift gears. All right. Check streamer heart rate. Can we do that? What? I didn't even know you could redeem that. Unless that's just a comment. But yeah, heart rate. Well, now it's even 66. Look at that. It's even lower. It's even low. Oh, no. Now it's going back up to 70. Oh, it's an app? Gotcha. It shows it on stream? Huh. That's kind of weird, though. That's good. You have based content. Thank you. I plan to continue to have based content. I apologize if I get animated about the truth, okay? Alright, switching gears. Folks, I have found the key for everyone to become a billionaire, okay? Folks, the key isn't avocado toast. Okay? Drop that tip, okay? New tip just dropped. Instead of not purchasing avocado toast, hey, just not eat, folks. Yep, that's right. Just not eat, okay? If you want to be a billionaire, okay? Just don't eat, okay? And to those who are complaining, then, you know, maybe you wouldn't be so poor if maybe if you wouldn't be so poor if you stopped eating, okay? I only eat once a day, but I'm not a billionaire yet. But have you tried to just skip breakfast specifically? It shows on stream. Yeah, I don't know if I want to put that. Okay, that's just weird. I eat once a day, but I'm not a billionaire. I only eat my breakfast anyway. I'm trying to figure out what that means, and I haven't yet to figure it out. Several breakfast staples saw sharp price increases due to a perfect storm of bad weather and disease outbreaks and continued effects from the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Egg prices are up by 8.5% in January from a month earlier. This is a bit old, but, you know, the point still stands. I thought breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Apparently not. Listen up, pores. If you want to be rich, quit eating breakfast, even though your body kind of sort of really needs it. Heat mistyped. Gotcha. I only heat my breakfast anyways. Egg prices are up a month earlier and are up 70% over the past year, the highest annual rate since 1973. Like, again, like, none of this is addressing the fact that, like, oh, you have, like, greed being a part of this, you know, equation as well. The deadly avian influenza outbreak on record has devastated poultry flocks across the U.S., leading the price of eggs to rise more than any other grocery item. Egg inventories were 29% lower, blah, 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 blah. Frozen non-carbonated juice and drinks, a category that includes frozen orange juice, rose by 1.5% in January, and the 12.4% annual increase is the highest in over a decade. Florida orange growers are harvesting their smallest crops in nearly 90 years, the result of a freeze, 2 hurricanes, and a citrus disease that's laying waste to its groves. Breakfast cereal increased more modestly in January from a month earlier, just 0.4%, but prices in categories were up 15% over a year, in part because of elevated global grain prices resulting from disruptions related to the war in Ukraine. Breakfast lovers might be better off just having a cup of coffee, but go with roasted, not instant. Prices for roasted coffee declined by 0.1%, but instant coffee rose by 3.6%. Increase, a monthly increase for instant coffee. Yeah, I see. So yeah, just don't eat, okay? Just don't eat. That's it. Like, I actually want to know, like, I want to speak to this person. I really want to speak to this person and be like, yo, what was the thought process behind typing this out? Okay? I drink a serving of AG1 when I get up, 30 ounces of iced coffee for lunch, and a well-balanced dinner. Jesus. The key is save more by eating less, I guess. Yeah, like apparently, if you want a success tip from the Wall Street Journal, yeah, just don't eat. Okay, just skip breakfast. You know, just skip breakfast. Forget the avocado toast stuff. All right, that's out. The new business tip is to just not eat breakfast at all. Yeah. All jokes aside, this is actually this is actually dystopian, and this is insanity. To even type this up, I don't know how this person unironically typed this up and was like, yeah, this makes sense, you know. Just tell people to not eat breakfast. You know. This is insane. This is delusional. I don't know what the thought process was behind even writing this article that actually got published. Think about that for a second. Somebody had to have the thought process and rationale to put this down. And then the Wall Street Journal editors and whatever, they're like, yep, we'll run with this. The article is just an analysis of food price trends, but they just put a rhetorical twist to it. Yeah, but maybe if you were just wanting to be talking about food prices, you would address the actual not just the war in Ukraine and put freaking names to this, right? Climate change is not mentioned anywhere here. Not just climate change, but also, yes, the war is also impacting this. Also, the supply chains are causing a rise in prices across the board, including food, and corporate greed. You're assuming empathy where there is none. Clearly, that's my L there, because it's not even just oh, they're just talking about the increases of food. They even not only just in the headline, but at the very bottom, the kicker is yeah, it's just better off not eating. We're no solutions here. Just don't eat. Okay, listen up, pores. You're just going to have to deal with the fact that food is expensive, and if you don't like it, then don't eat. I don't know. Coffee's cheaper. What? I'm sorry. Does this sound normal to you? Again, I really want to know what the thought process was behind typing these words out and then having like somebody approve the printing of this. Phenomenal stuff. Okay, so kind of piggybacking off what the what we were talking about earlier. That's kind of like, I should have played that video last, because this is kind of like where it was all going. America's imminently facing a child care cliff, and it could cost families an estimated $9 billion a year, while 3.2 million children are at risk of losing the daycare spots. Some daycare providers may struggle to stay afloat once the pandemic-era relief dries up this fall, and for many working parents, that means they'll have to scramble to find daycare as part of the, hey, where's the party of, like, protect the children? Where are those guys? Curious, huh? That's interesting. Nowhere to be found. We're supporting children and we want to save children and something about children or whatever. Where's that party? Was being incredibly loud not too long ago. Where are those guys? Huh. As part of the American Rescue Act, which was done by Democrats, the federal government provided nearly $24 billion for child care stabilization program, which helped keep the 200,000 child care providers afloat. The funds were used to maintain or increase staffing, like offering higher pay, hiring or retention bonuses, and expanded benefits, as well as to cover rent, mortgage, and payment or other debts. But with the program set to expire September 30th, 3 days from now, more than 70,000 childcare programs, or one-third of those supported by federal stabilization funding, will likely close, and approximately 3.2 million children could lose their spots, according to a June analysis from the think tank the Century Foundation. Here's why the child care cliff could pose a real problem for working parents and the economy as a whole. Ah, yes. Again, this is because, well, here's like a two-part failure, right? Republicans are never going to approve any of this, and Democrats didn't bother to like extend it. So yeah, the Century Foundation says in 6 states: Arkansas, Montana, Utah, Virginia, West Virginia, and Washington D.C., the number of daycare programs could be slashed by half or more, and another 14 states the supply could be reduced by a third. While millions of children may lose access to care, their parents will be forced to make some hard choices to fill the gaps. The Think Project projects that families could lose $9 billion each year due to parents having to work reduced hours or leave the workforce entirely. And research showed the crisis disproportionately impacts women, who are typically more likely to make career sacrifices and become unpaid givers for their children. The childcare industry, a sector that predominantly employs women, could also face a loss of about 232,000 jobs. Altogether, the Century Foundation estimates that total loss in tax and business revenue could cost states $10.6 billion in economic activity each year. American parents have already been contending with the soaring cost of childcare, and remaining programs that are available to withstand the loss in funding could become even more expensive. The average cost of childcare stands at over $10,000 a year for one child. Jesus Christ. Increasing as much as to $15,000 to $20,000 a year in certain states, according to Child Care Aware of America, a national network of child care resources and referral agencies. But in a 2022 survey conducted by the National Association of Education for Young Children, about 43% of child care directors say they'd have to raise tuition once funding expires. They said there's a few options for parents to help offset the costs. Some companies may include childcare subsidies as part of the benefits package, or on-site daycare centers for cheaper or discounted prices. They could also offer a flexible spending account, FSA, to help cover services like preschool, daycare, and before and after school care programs. Depending on your income, you may be eligible for certain tax credits, like the Child Independent Care Tax Credit, which helps parents cover care for children under 13 while they work or look for work. You could also qualify for child tax credit even if you haven't paid for care services. Simple solution: stop having kids. Yeah, but for the people that already have kids, I mean, like the issue isn't even really whether or not you have kids. The issue is really whether or not the government wants to actually give a shit and do something. That's really the question. Whether or not the government wants to actually put children as a priority. That's the question we should be asking. Like, because we can. It's not about whether somebody chooses to have a child or not. I think that we can have resources allocated to help people. It's just that we don't want to. We have other things to spend money on, like war. Yeah. Consider reaching out to family members or people in your community to help look after kids while you're at work. You can even talk to other parents about sharing a nanny or starting a childcare co-op, which parents take turns watching each other's children. Jesus, figure it out, folks. That's all I'm hearing. Good luck, everybody. In about 3 days, shit's gonna be real tough. Okay? Like, think about it. Not only is all this help gonna start fading away, especially like since the government is refusing to like operate like, you know, like a government, not only is all this going away, student loans, as somebody pointed out, are starting to kick back up. Yeah, people are having trouble now making sure that they can put food on the table and basic cost of living. People are having trouble now. So I can only imagine what that's going to look like in the next couple of weeks to months, maybe longer. Switching gears to, I guess, a lowercase w. Marijuana financing bill clears big hurdle in the Senate. A new bill that aims to give the marijuana industry access to banking services moved forward on the Senate today. The Secure and Fair Enforcement Regulation Banking Act was introduced by a bipartisan group of senators last week. The bill would provide legal protection to banks and other financial institutions that offer services to state legal marijuana businesses. The Senate Banking Committee voted 14-9 to advance this measure to the full floor. Senator Jeff Merkley, an Oregon Democrat and lead sponsor of the bill, called this passage a historic moment, an example of significant bipartisan cooperation. Forcing legal businesses to operate in all cash is dangerous for our communities. It's an open invitation to robberies, muggings, money laundering, and organized crime, and the only people benefiting from the current system are criminals. Here's a question. I hope that, like, it just means that I hope that, like, this is honestly what it says it's going to do, and not just end up being, like, a way of giving like more incentives. I don't know. Now if the House can get its collective heads out of their asses, that's gonna be a hard ask considering which party is running the House right now. This bill is also led by Steve Daines, Kyrsten Sinema, Cynthia Lummis, as well as Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. This legislation will help our communities and small businesses safer by giving legal cannabis businesses access to traditional financial institutions, including bank accounts and small business loans. It also prevents federal bank regulators from ordering a bank or credit union to close an account based on reputational risk. Even as 39 states have legalized marijuana for recreational or medical use, like that's almost all of them. Okay, that's a pretty big out of 50. 39 have already it's time, folks. It's 2023, okay? The sector struggled to scale marijuana's classification as a Schedule 1 substance or one with no currently acceptable medical use and high potential for abuse, which is nonsense. Along with federal prohibition pose a risk to banking institutions. This in turn has limited access to financing in a broader market. Moreover, without access to financial services, state legal cannabis businesses are forced to operate their businesses using solely only cash, which can result in robbery, money laundering, and organized crime. Due to the opening of new adult use markets in individual states combined, the U.S. medical and recreational cannabis sales are expected to reach $33.6 billion by the end of 2023, according to an analysis from MJ Biz Factbook from industry news outlet MJ Biz Daily. The landmark vote on Wednesday today marked the first time the Senate has considered this legislation. An earlier version of the bill, the Safe Banking Act, passed the House 7 times previously but has never advanced to the Senate under both Democrat and Republican control. Last year, lawmakers excluded it from the $1.7 trillion government funding bill. This bill may face a tougher path to passage if it ends up before the GOP-controlled House. I think it probably passes the Banking Committee, but I don't think it goes anywhere in the House. Said Ian Katz, an analyst with Capital Alpha Partners who covers banking and financials. Republicans seems to be souring on it. The new bill requires stricter requirements for federal regulators, such as prohibiting them from terminating any marijuana-related accounts without valid reason or denying banking services based on personal beliefs or political motivations, which should be the standard, ? Yeah. So a small W. We'll see if anything happens past this. And if it does, of course, we'll talk about it. All right, let's do a meme story, okay?
Straight facts. Joe Biden's infrastructure bill really got American manufacturers.
Why are you trying to sell me? Okay. Never mind.
So apparently some Republicans are mad at Taylor Swift.
Hello, person who has been banned in quite the amount of channels. Yeah, a crotch razor, apparently. They're trying to sell me a crotch razor. Yep, well, we'll see how long you last here. A governor election soon. Which state?
For the most Republican reason ever. What did she do exactly? Well, she had the audacity to dare.
Due to pro-Ukrainian Twitch streamers. I got a feeling that there's more to that.
To encourage her young, impressionable fans to vote. And worse, she told them how to vote, where to register, to be exact. Can you believe her? I can't believe that she would do this. As a Swiftie myself, I've got to say, I feel betrayed. Now, obviously, I'm being sarcastic, but I don't think that my sarcasm adequately conveys how insane this response is. Now, the controversy all stemmed from this one Instagram post she made where she asks her fans, "Are you registered to vote yet? I've been so lucky to see..."
How did that get automated when I've literally been using profanity and shit? I don't know. Listen, Automod does what Automod does, okay? I can't really control it. I just let it do what it does.
So many of you guys at my US shows recently, I've heard you raise your voices and I know how powerful they are. Make sure you're ready to use them in our elections this year. Register to vote in less than 2 minutes at vote.org/NVRD. Now, even though Republicans weren't too happy about that recommendation, and I'll tell you why in a moment, the response...
Since they're liberals, Wait, wait. Hilda Beast, $27 liberals? Okay. I mean, if the word liberal just means people I don't like or people who disagree with me, I guess.
Response from her fans was overwhelming, to say the least. Vote.org tweeted that they saw a 1,226% spike in web traffic an hour after she made that post. And on top of that, as Teen Vogue explains, Vote.org wrote in a statement that 35,252 new voters registered that same day, the most since 2020. And
I'll be damned. Taylor Swift is like single-handedly at the forefront of the vanguard of saving democracy. I'll be damned. Liberal equals non-conservative? No, it just means people who I disagree with. That's it. That's in this context. It just means people who I disagree with. That's it. That's all it means.
And a 23% boost from last year. The site also saw a 72% jump in the number of 18-year-olds registering compared to last year. Wow. So if you know anything about Republicans, you can see why that enraged them. With a single Instagram post, Taylor Swift was able to register thousands of new, disproportionately young people to vote. And if the last two elections taught us anything, it's that young people participating in these elections is very bad news for Republicans. So predictably, they were outraged over this. And
I'll be damned. I didn't see that coming, folks. Well, it looks a little bit better. Okay? It looks a tiny bit more better. It looks a tiny bit more better. And hopefully this means that as we get closer to elections, it means that Trump's chances are going to start diminishing. Hopefully.
And rather than trying to create their own get out the vote movement for Republicans, well, they just proceeded to attack Taylor Swift for daring to do this. Now, there were a lot of no-name conservatives who spoke out against her. They had, small accounts, and we'll get to them in a moment here. But what I really want to focus on are the prominent haters of Taylor Swift, namely Sean Davis, who's the CEO of the Federalist Society, who tweeted, "Taylor Swift is dumb and her music sucks" in response. And he also linked to an article from September 5th titled, "Taylor Swift's popularity is a sign of societal decline."
True. Oh man, so mad. So mad. Big mad. Big mad. Liberals are practically conservative. Well, liberals generally, like, what makes them right wing is that they support, or generally speaking, they uphold capitalism. That's it, generally speaking. I mean, like, conservatives are different. But that's neither here nor there. My point was that this person was literally saying, like, people like $27 or Hildebeest are liberals, so they don't. It literally, to them, it just means people who disagree with me. That's literally what liberals mean in that context. Shake it off. We're never ever getting back. I remember that song.
Hyperbolic much. And if you look at the article, it is an unnecessarily long article about things that he doesn't like about her. Basically, he thinks that she's a narcissist and her lyrics are bad, and he doesn't understand why she's so popular. But, I mean, you could have saved yourself so much time, saved so many characters if you just didn't write that article and you just tweeted, "Her music isn't for me. I don't get it." That's fine. But we all know that the reason why he reshared his shitty article is because he's butthurt that she registered people to vote. Which,
right.
Again,
like, these people are big mad. Big mad.
And is bad news for Republicans. But I don't know why he thought this would be a good idea, but he tweeted this out, and then proceeded to get dragged by Taylor Swift fans. I don't know if that was the response that he was expecting, because, I mean, sure, certainly Republicans chimed in agreeing with what he said, but for the most part, they roasted the shit out of him for daring to attack Taylor Swift, and not only just attack her, but attack her for the dumbest reason imaginable. So this person responded saying, "I'm sorry this happened to you, Lamau." This person just responded with a picture of him, which is surprisingly devastating when you see what he looks like. He's definitely a conservative dweeb. This person says, "Ugly MFers can't relate to Taylor. It's okay, dude. Stick to Oliver Anthony. He's more your speed." This person just says, "Shut up, nerd." And my favorite, "We encourage Republicans to continue picking these loser fights with cultural icons like Taylor Swift, Disney, Bud Light." Exactly. Yeah, and that's a really great point, because Republicans constantly, by declaring everything woke or liberal or whatever, they end up hurting themselves inadvertently, because they don't realize that these cultural institutions in the United States are institutions for a reason. Lots of people love them. And especially when you're going after a pop star, I just feel like you're asking for a lot of people to shit on you, right? And you're not even critiquing her substantively, right? This isn't a type of critique of music that you see from Anthony Fantano. His article was trash. Now, admittedly, I did not read the whole thing, but I read several paragraphs and considered quoting him in this video, but it's really unnecessary. He's just an out-of-touch dude who doesn't like the music, which is fine. But when you unnecessarily attack someone and it feels like you are just butthurt because she encouraged people to vote, people are going to call you out for that. Now, there's a lot more criticisms of him, but to be clear, that wasn't the universal response. There were many Republicans, or I should say, seeming Republicans, who chimed in, and they also were not happy with what Taylor Swift did, which, again, was just encourage people to fucking vote, for Christ's sake. So this person quote tweeted...
Wait a minute. Isn't it very telling that this is the response of conservatives when somebody of that caliber in terms of influence tells people to vote? As far as this video has gone, she didn't even say who to vote for, right? All attention is good attention, true.
The article saying, "A more vacuous person you'll not find. If she leads prepubescent young girls deeper into ignorance, that is on the parents. The parents who are Swifties should not be issued any government docs higher than fishing licenses." Yeah, very normal response here from a...
Right, and also very in line with Matt Walsh saying that not everybody should be able to vote. Yeah.
Grown man. You also had a couple of quote tweets from Blue Checks not understanding why she's as popular as she is. And I'm sorry, but that sounds like cope to me. If somebody says or does something politically that you don't like, and you bring in non-germane reasons to attack them, like saying she doesn't have talent or she's overexposed, I just feel like that's cope. I mean, I don't like Chris Pratt in particular. I think his politics are indeed dog shit. But if I were to bring in how I think he's not talented or not funny, then that would feel like cope. You know that would sound like cope, because I think that he is a fairly decent actor. I mean, sure, he gets too many roles now and he kind of plays the same character. But if I'm saying that within the context of criticizing him for a political view that he has, then, it feels a little bit copey, does it not? You all know it sounds copey. But the real reason why they don't like her all of a sudden is because she was able to galvanize her fans. And that is a real threat to Republican power. And we know this because it's not the first time that they attacked her for this. So believe it or not, back in 2018, Taylor Swift was involved in another quote-unquote scandal where she endorsed a Democrat on Instagram and also registered 65,000 new voters in a single day, leading to conservative meltdowns back then as well. The American Independent wrote, "Turning Point USA executive director Charlie Kirk seemed to be especially crushed by Swift's endorsement, taking to Twitter for an extended public meltdown on the subject."
Okay, so I take that back. She did endorse the Democratic candidate last election. Taylor Swift is more popular than the GOP and they're so jelly. Well, no, they're mad because she's getting people to vote. That's why they're mad.
Claiming the global superstar had no idea of what she was talking about. He then continued his whining on Fox News and Fox Business, where he bitterly denounced the singer as a know-nothing charlatan. Yeah, that's ironic coming from Charlie Kirk of all people, but it wasn't just him who was sounding off at the time after she registered tens of thousands of new people to vote, the National Republican Senate Committee literally issued a statement about this, condemning her, saying, if you haven't heard, multimillionaire pop star Taylor Swift came down from her ivory tower to tell hardworking Tennesseans to vote for Phil Bredesen. Yes, because the party who voted to cut the taxes of multimillionaires just like her a year earlier definitely care about the hardworking people of Tennessee. Give me a fucking break. But here's what I want to make very clear.
And like, also, why do you care? Wait, why do you care? She has like the absolute right to say and post whatever she wants on social media. Why do you care?
This really is not about Taylor Swift, right? Even though conservatives already may not like her because she's a vocally liberal pop star, they're going after any and everyone who dares to try to expand the voting electorate, right? Anyone who's able to actually register large swaths of people to vote is going to be their target. It's not just her, it's Stacey Abrams, it's any other organization that's effective at mobilizing people. Because democracy itself is the biggest obstacle to Republican power, and by expanding the electorate, Taylor Swift has proven that she's an actual threat to the GOP's power. But she's not alone, because Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro announced automatic voter registration in his state, meaning that anyone who obtains a driver's license or ID card will automatically be registered to vote. Now, Republicans immediately condemned this move. Trump called it a disaster for the election of the Republican Party and said that, quote, it must be met harshly by Republican leadership. And also, former Trump administration official and white nationalist Stephen Miller suggested that it was a ploy to allow undocumented immigrants to vote. Now, he knows that that's not true, but regardless, these are things that they say because they don't want to just come out and say, we really don't want more people voting, because they're probably going to vote for Democrats and not Republicans. But in an interview with CNN, the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, responded to that criticism and he shut it down.
You mentioned what the DMV or what checks there are, right, from the DMV, et cetera. I just was wondering if you could please respond directly to Stephen Miller, former Donald Trump aide, who tweeted this. I can promise you there will be no citizenship verification. Just want to give you a chance to respond directly to that.
Yeah. Look, I'm not going to respond to Stephen Miller. That guy's a dope who can't tell the truth.
I'm not asking you.
I mean, yeah, that's end of story. But anyways.
Here's what
Stephen Miller, governor, but
Pennsylvania...
just about what he raises, because I think he raises a question others may raise. So just to the substance of what he said.
Yes, this is phenomenal. CNN, phenomenal stuff here, phenomenal.
Right. Well, he doesn't raise any substance. Here is the actual substance. When you go to get a driver's license, when you go to renew your driver's license, you have to bring identifying documents in order to be able to secure that driver's license. The same documents that are required in order to be able to register to vote. We're relying on a system that already has safeguards built into it to allow someone to be automatically registered to vote. Listen, Poppy, I went to court more than 40 times to defeat people like Stephen Miller and others who tried to thwart the will of the people here in Pennsylvania, who made up all kinds of ridiculous claims after the 2020 election. And I won every single time in court and defended the will of the people here in Pennsylvania, defended the right to vote. And here in Pennsylvania, we value our freedom, we value our democracy, and voting is central to that. And now it's easier for eligible voters to have their voices heard here in the Commonwealth.
And I think
Yep, he is exactly correct. In Oregon, we have automatic voter registration, and guess what? There's no fraud, right? We've also had mail-in voting for decades, and it's not controversial. It's not a partisan issue here. Both Republicans and Democrats enjoy it because it makes it a lot easier for all of us to vote.
Right, and like, again, none of this is a problem. None of this has been a problem, except when Republicans made it a problem because they lost the election. That's it. That's the only time it's become a problem with these people. Old Snake Twitch, welcome. Are you ready for it? What?
This isn't just automatic voter registration for Democrats. It's automatic voter registration for everyone, regardless of party affiliation. So you'd think that the GOP should be in support of this in theory, right? But they're not. And the reason why they have to lie and pretend as if these changes will lead to fraud when that's not true is because they don't want to have to admit the real reason why they don't want more people voting. It's simple. More people voting means more Republicans lose elections. They rely on low voter turnout where the same older, loyal base of Republican evangelicals reliably show up to vote for them every single year without offering no new policies, without trying to expand their electorate. And that's worked for them. So more people voting is going to make it more difficult for them to win elections because that's more people who they have to win over that they can't win over. And when more people show up to vote, they often lose. They know this. Everyone knows this. I mean, if every single person in this country voted in every single election going forward, Republicans would never win another election again. Right? And that's because most Americans don't agree with this party. Even though they represent one of two major political parties in this country, they're still a minority party when it comes to policy, meaning that the overwhelming majority of Americans do not agree with the policies that they're putting forward. So this is why they're fighting against these efforts so much.
Yeah, they just don't want people to vote. GOP don't want to praise liberal women. No, they just don't want people to vote. Like, yeah, like misogyny, like is kind of like par for the course, but like on top of that, the core issue is that also they don't want people to vote. Okay, so Dab, I have dabbed.
It's also why they're trying to suppress the vote in certain states by disenfranchising voters and removing polling places in districts with people of color mostly who typically vote Democrat. It's why they gerrymander so explicitly and even racially. They don't want more people voting because they'll lose elections this way. That's what you have to keep in mind. But they can't say that. So people like Stephen Miller and Donald Trump have to pretend like fraud is their main concern or non-citizens voting is a concern when in actuality, they know that that's bullshit. But as the party grows increasingly fascistic and authoritarian, some of them are just admitting it, that they're against voting rights. Take Matt Walsh, for example.
These people should not be allowed to vote. I mean, you hear people say that in a half-joking way. Oh, I can't believe these people can vote. But really, they shouldn't be able to. Like, actually, they should not be able to vote. That should be something that that becomes a serious topic of conversation. Okay, like the kind of thing that comes up at presidential debates. Okay, like an issue that political parties have to deal with in their platform.
Yeah, so we went over this clip, which is pretty freaking disturbing. The fact that like dude literally feels comfortable enough to just be saying this. How do we know Taylor Swift fans even vote liberal? I don't buy it. True.
Forms. We should really be talking about this. That there are a lot of people who are voting in this country who should not have that right. They don't deserve it. And as I've tried to explain many times, the right to vote, it is not a God-given right guaranteed to everybody regardless of anything. It's not. Okay, it's not fundamental to your human nature.
Go F yourself. Cosmic Seeking, I'm late. Just stop laughing about Trump.
You automatically are entitled to have a say over the political system in your country. It's not. There are some basic guidelines that should be in place. You should have to earn that right. Not everybody should have it. And it is so incredibly obvious that if you are an absolute oblivious moron who knows nothing about your own country or the political or the government that runs it, then you shouldn't have any say over it.
You just heard one of the most popular.
Yeah. Obviously, we discussed this a number of times, and I have issues with some of the messaging, but it's frustrating to still see that these things being deployed and debated and considered. Republicans are so silly on this because they're just as capable of winning votes incurred by high turnout as Democrats are, political self-harm and national self-harm in some way. Yeah, yeah, I guess technically that's true, but they certainly feel like the more it's interesting because like they feel like the more people are registering to vote, which they don't even know if they're registering Republican or not. They don't know. I guess they can take a guess, but it's quite telling, or it's interesting that they feel that the more people get involved in the political system in terms of registering to vote and getting out to vote, the more defensive they feel. Why is that? They get real big mad about the idea of more people voting or more people getting registered to vote.
Popular right-wing pundits say the quiet part loud. And he is not the only one. Vivek Ramaswamy, a GOP presidential candidate, has proposed raising the voting age to 25. Now again, this is because they know that if more people vote, especially young people, Republicans are going to have a very difficult time winning elections. So that's why Republicans are attacking Taylor Swift. But unfortunately for them, going after one of the biggest pop stars in the world isn't going to do them any favors. So I would highly, highly encourage them to keep this up, because if they thought that lefties were ruthless, well, wait until they get a taste of Swifties, because they seem absolutely ruthless and they will fucking drag anyone who dares come after their queen.
True. It's particularly so when they're considering running Trump. If you've got a populist candidate, you want more infrequent voters to be a part of the pool because there's a good chance they'll pick him. Yeah, but he's not like a real populist candidate, right? And that's the problem. He's not actually a populist candidate. It may have worked for them the first time in 2016, but that's not gonna fly. That's not gonna fly. Not anymore. Not this time around. It didn't. It didn't fly last election. And I think they're okay with that, because when you have like other candidates and basically like the standard like Republican line is to be anti-worker. I mean, it's pretty clear. This is not a populist party. It may attempt to disguise itself as such, but I don't think that's gonna work anymore for them. All right, folks. So I saw a lot of conservatives screeching about this. So I guess we'll talk about it. I'm hearing more buzz for Nikki, but still bad news. Nikki Haley? No. I meant that poll we looked at weeks ago helped clear up some of that. Non-voters favored Trump over Biden, mostly because non-voters tend to lean way more anti-establishment than regular voters. I don't know, it's a massive misunderstanding from the Republicans that they've been doubling and tripling down on for years. I don't understand where they're getting the vibes from. I mean, I do, but they're shoddy in comparison to the evidence. Right, but like, if non-voters, meaning that people who don't vote, why would anybody, like including even Democrats, why would anybody be trying to cater to them if they're like perceived to be non-voters? That just tells them that if the perception of non-voters is to be anti-establishment, then wouldn't a party, regardless, just in a vacuum, a hypothetical, wouldn't a party then lead more establishment because those are where the voters are? Well, voter drive would be targeting infrequent and non-voters. Right, but if you now have a bunch of voters, well, yeah, that's true. I guess you're right. Yeah. I guess you're right. I mean, personally, if you ask me, I think they feel that way for a reason. And I think the anti-establishment facade is not is not it. I don't think they can pull that off. Most non-voters just tend to not care about politics. They just pick kind of crazy, weird options. They're very unpredictable. Yeah, but also then if that's the case, if they're unreliable, why would a party try to cater to them, right? I don't know. Maybe like, because to me, the goal, the gold standard is to try to get the independence. Those are the people that are going to win you the election. And yeah, I don't think the GOP's like anti-establishment stuff, I don't think that's gonna work anymore. It's very clear, even to people who are more independent. Possibly does that not prove that polls are unreliable? No, actually polls have been pretty, like, not to say that they're gospel, not to say that polls are gospel, but polls generally give you a decent direction as to where things are going. Even like the 2016 polls were pretty like on point with the actual like with the actual voter outcome. Just because Hillary Clinton did not win the electoral college vote, the polls were pushing that she was going to win the popular vote, because obviously they're polling voters, right? They're polling people. And it was positioned that she was going to win. And she did win the popular vote. And the polls are, again, not gospel, but they're a pretty good indicator as to where things are going. So I think that to just say that, like, to just outright dismiss them is, I think, incorrect, or to say that they're just overly unreliable is also incorrect, because that's not true. They're not as unreliable as people think. The only people that think that either party needs to focus is on swing voters is swing states. If you're in Cali or Alabama, those states are already won. So the message has to be to win votes in states where might actually swing to one party or another. In our electoral system, yes, that's how this works. You're correct. Sometimes it depends on what theory you stick to, I guess, in terms of mobilization. I tend to not really like the whole voter switching theory, but you can't disregard it completely. Some do switch, just not in the way we think they do. It's more that Republicans just falsely assume that non-voters are lazy minorities who will pick up them, when it's not that at all. It's almost a bit of a racist trope, which ends up causing them harm, unsurprisingly. Yeah, I mean, I guess. Yeah, it's possible. Not to dismiss the polls, but still, polls are not votes. People can lie and polls are changed. Yeah, but also, like, polls have been in the ballpark more times than not. So the point is that we should pay attention to them. So if a poll is saying that the presidential election is tied, then we should be ringing the alarm bells, right? We should be saying, like, oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. If the polls are saying that Trump is leading Biden by 3 points, that's not good. It means that things need to be done. It's a good thing in the end because it means they lose out on votes. So I guess it's one of those situations when your opponent is making a mistake, the best thing to do is just let them carry on doing so. I agree. I agree with that as that philosophy. They've been doing this for years. You're right. Not just with this, but yeah, they seem to consistently pick fights that just end up making more harm to them. All right, folks. Final story of the day: New York judge finds Donald Trump liable for fraud. A New York judge found Trump and his adult sons liable for fraud and canceled the Trump Organization's business certifications, a shocking ruling that poses an existential threat to the former president's financial empire as he runs for a second term in the White House. Boo-hoo. Judge Engron's ruling on Monday is a complete rejection of Trump's arguments that he didn't inflate the values of his golf course, hotels, and homes, at Mar-a-Lago and Seven Springs on financial statements. In defendants' world, rent-regulated apartments are worth the same as unregulated apartments. Restricted land is worth the same as unrestricted land. Restrictions can evaporate into thin air. A disclaimer by one party casting responsibility on another exonerates the other party's lies. This is fantasy, not the real world. The ruling came in response to the lawsuit by New York Attorney General Letitia James, who is seeking $250 million in damages and ban on Trump from serving as officers of a business in New York and to stop the company from engaging in business transactions for 5 years. A trial is expected to begin next week on the amount of damages owed, and the full breadth of Engon's ruling or how it will play out remains unclear. The judge canceled the business certifications of the Trump entities that are defendants in this case, including the Trump Organization, a major blow to the business that has been so synonymous with the former president's personal brand. So, yeah, like, this is a civil case, by the way. And conservatives... Conservatives have been screeching about this. When they have, well, they're lying if they don't take the time to actually understand what's going on. Let me bring you up an idea, an example. What we are up against. Centrist Tim Pool says, no trial needed. Judge just decides because the government said so in a press conference. I'm actually surprised with Kyle Kulinski supports rule by decree and summary judgments without trial. Because this is a civil case, not a criminal case. Questions remain as to how the receiver would dissolve the properties, if the ruling would impact properties located outside of New York State, including Mar-a-Lago, and if the Trumps could transfer the New York-based assets into a new company located out of state. Today, a judge ruled in our favor and found that Trump and Trump Organization engaged in years of financial fraud. We look forward to presenting the rest of the case at trial. Trump condemned the ruling in a statement, accusing Engon of doing the bidding of James. It is a great company that has been slandered and maligned by this politically motivated witch hunt. It is very unfair, and I call for help from the highest courts of the New York State or federal system to intercede. This is not America. Trump's attorney, Christopher Keese, said that the ruling completely disconnected from the facts and governing law. Whatever. Among other things, Trump is accused of inflating the value of his triplex apartment at Trump Tower by 3 times its size, resulting in an overvaluation of $114 million to $207 million. The discrepancy of this order of magnitude by a real estate developer sizing up his own living space of decades can only be considered fraud. True. The judge was unsparing in his decision, criticizing Trump's defense arguments, exacerbating defendants' I'm not even going to try. What does this word even mean? Oh, difficult to control. Okay. Exacerbating defendants' difficult to control conduct is their continued reliance on bogus arguments in paper and oral arguments. The state Supreme Court judge likened Trump's legal defense of his fraudulent financial statements to a Chico Marx line in the comedy Duck Soup. Well, who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes? James has alleged that Trump, 3 of his children companies, and his business executives defrauded lenders, insurers, and other entities. In the lawsuit, James claimed that Trump reaped a substantial financial benefit by putting forward faulty information in his financial statements, including $150 million in the form of favorable interest rates he obtained from the banks that the Attorney General said his team misled. So basically, I mean, the TLDR is that, surprise, surprise, it looks like the professional con man has been found out to be yet engaged in another fraud. Not just like, oh, we obviously knew that he was doing sketchy stuff, but like just legally, like the nail in the coffin. It's just a matter of like going to trial and finding out how much damages are going to be owed. But surprise, surprise, yeah, yet another a con man engaging in yet another, yet being found out in another con. Surprise, surprise, surprise. How much is he gonna end up being owed? Who knows? Who knows? All right, folks, we did it. Smooth sailing too. Folks, if you enjoy the content, don't forget to hit the follow button. It really does help us out. If you want to support the channel and can't do so monetarily, make sure you hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. I'll go ahead and post that here. We're at 245 subscribers. So, yeah. Keep it up, folks. I appreciate your support. The Ezra Klein podcast had an episode about a few days ago about Trump. Guess there's some attorneys going through the indictments. Probably worth a look. Ezra Klein. I feel like I know that name. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Got it. New York Times guy. Gotcha. Notifications on YouTube, please. They should be. They should be. All notifications should fire off automatically. If they don't, I apologize, or you may need to ring the bell. That may help. Or there's also a notification that comes up through Discord. I can't really control, like, aside from like making sure that these notifications are set. I can't really control whether or not YouTube decides to send them. But yeah, join the Discord. They should. Yes, turn them on, please. Yes, that's right. Definitely worth the look. All right, cool. The New York Times guy. Yeah. Okay, I saw a picture of him now. I remember. There's also a really good in-depth analysis on 538 podcast last month. I could send one on the Discord. Yeah, sure. Post anything that you want on the Discord. I mean, like, if you want a TLDR, I think he's pretty apt from what I've seen. If you just kind of want the cliff notes, in a normal world where he wasn't the former president, yeah, this dude would be cooked. But yeah, that's just my opinion from like the limited information that I've seen that's been reported on, that I've seen from press conferences to articles. Yeah, it seems like he's pretty cooked. Anyways, folks, again, if you enjoyed the content, do all the social media stuff. I am on Blue Sky now. So if you do have Blue Sky, just look for me. I'm a Difficult Truth. The same handle. I'll start working on that profile shortly. And folks, again, make sure you do the social media stuff. Spread the word far and wide. We're here Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be back tomorrow. Join the Discord for any channel updates. And as always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. Vion, I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern time. See ya. That's right. One more day. I play 538 podcast owned by ABC now. Gotcha. Thank you, Michael Hassler. I appreciate it. Thank you, Heat. Bye-bye. Welcome. Thank you, I should say. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.